Hello and welcome to another episode of Killing the Boredom. This little podcast I have where I just talk shit about all types of, movies and art, music, media, and I share it in the hopes that maybe you guys find something that you want to check out and also enjoy. I'm sorry I've been away for the last couple of weeks. I've been a little bit busy, but I'm ready to get back into it. I've been engaging in a lot of art recently, ready to share it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first off the bat is the new album by slowthai, TYRON. This is off the back of his critically acclaimed Nothing Great About Britain, which I wasn't that big a fan of. I thought it had some good songs. I thought that like Doorman is a great song. It really channels a lot of punk energy. It's a very exciting song, a very energetic song. That's probably my favorite song off the album, as well as Inglorious, which with Skepta, which is also just a fucking banger. Lots of energy, very braggadocious, and this is a great song, very energetic, very exciting song. And then there were a couple of other songs off the album, like Gorgeous and the titular Nothing Great About Britain, which I thought were pretty good. But in general, the whole album didn't interest me that much. I thought it was decent. But after listening to this album, TYRON, I think I'm definitely going to have to revisit it and probably give it a second chance, because it has been a while since I listened to it. When I first listened to it, I probably wasn't as open, I would say. I was a bit of a snob when it came to music. Like I had the artists that I liked and I sort of stuck to them, and I unfairly criticized other music that I didn't like and didn't really go in with an open mind, which I have been working on a lot. And that's, also a point of this podcast for me is to be more open to music that I wouldn't be as open to. So this album, TYRON, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was it blew me away. I was stunned at how much talent slowthai has. Because the first Nothing Great About Britain, I felt like a lot of it was. I felt that he wasn't as vulnerable on that album. At least that's what I remember of it. But in this album, there is a lot of vulnerability. There's a lot of emotional depth to it, which I really enjoyed. And I would go as far, I know it's still early in the year, it's only March, I would go as far as to say this will probably be the album of the year for me. I absolutely adored it. So it's a short album, 35 minutes, 14 tracks. It's split up into two sections. So the first section, each of seven songs each. The first section has a lot more trap instrumentals and it's a lot more braggadocious, and Ty's talking about how prolific he is and, his success is, typical braggadocious rap. There are some really great songs on this part of the album. Mazza featuring A$AP Rocky is very catchy. A$AP has a great verse. And yeah, it's just a really enjoyable song. It's got a fun beat. It's a fun, enjoyable song. Cancelled featuring Skepta is just. I know it's only two songs. I know they've only teamed up in Inglorious and Cancelled, but these are two of the biggest bangers slowthai has made, and they're fucking not just that slowthai has made. They're just some of the biggest bangers like that I have heard of the at the respective time they had come out. And Cancelled is so much energy. Skepta delivers a great verse, a great chorus. slowthai delivers a great verse. It is unbelievably catchy. There is the first half of the song is kind of like there's like this woodwind instrument. Skepta is rapping the verse, and then there's a beat switch, and the beat switch is absolutely incredible. Adds so much energy to the song. This is my favorite song of the first half of the album. I thought that. Well, I'll get to the second half in a bit. But yeah, the first half of the album, this was an easy highlight. While I still enjoyed Mazza and some other songs off the first half of the album, like Play With Fire and Vex and 45 Smoke. I thought that Cancelled was a clear highlight. And I think the Skepta feature had a lot to do with that. I've seen a criticism that people thought slowthai wasn't like Skepta took the spotlight from slowthai in this song, and slowthai should have been in it for longer. But I thought just his short, concise verse, I thought that mixed really well with the short Skepta verse and the Skepta chorus. And it's a very short song. It's just over 2 minutes, and it's concise and makes a point, and then it goes, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. I love this song. It's been on repeat for me. Great song. So that's the first half of the album. And then the second half of the album, it's a lot more softer. We have these more jazzier instrumentals, and this production that involves a lot of like vocal samples, a lot of guitar. It's not these like trap beats that we saw in the first half. It's a lot more softer, right? And to match that, slowthai goes from these raps where he's showing off his arrogance and his self-belief, and it goes into his doubt and his own. It's a deep dive into the way he's feeling, his doubts, his struggles with mental health, and just this feeling of not being enough, of not being complete. And this half of the album I thought was absolutely fantastic. So as I said, like the first half of the album, 7 tracks. But these 7 tracks are just the quality of them is absolutely fantastic. Ty's lyrics in this half of the album is just so potent, and this mixed with this like really great, beautiful production. That's the best way to put it. The production in this half of the album is very beautiful, and there's like multiple times that there would be something would happen in the production and just send chills down my spine. And it's very powerful, this half of the album. So the first song on this is I Tried. And this is the transition song from where Ty's, bragging and talking about how prolific he is to the more doubtful Ty. And the production is beautiful. It's very lush. There's like horns, and then a guitar. There's a beautiful like vocal sample. And Ty's just talking about, or rapping about, his doubts within himself, the struggles of his upbringing. And this song, it's such a stark contrast to the first half of the album. And it kind of like, I was really enjoying the first half of the album. Then this song came, and it's got this like really kind of haunting intro about trying to take one's life. And then slowthai just comes in with these dark, introspective lyrics. And it was like emotional whiplash. And I thought that it worked really well. And I thought okay, maybe this is just like a one-off song, and then it'll go back to more the trap-inspired banger. But no, then it continued with these more introspective songs. So then after that, we had Focus, which has production by Kenny Beats. I thought this was one of the more interesting instrumentals off the album. It's got like this like bass guitar, and then this altered vocal, like this like person humming, which is used that's the production. And slowthai's rapping about focusing on things that aren't his insufficiencies. He's trying to make something of himself despite his perceived what he perceives as insufficiencies in his life. Yeah, sorry, I know I just said that twice, my bad. But yeah, so I love this song. It has one of my favorite lines from the album about having nobody to lean on, so leaning on a walking stick. I thought that was, I don't know, when I heard that kind of got to me. I can't explain why. It was just, this is one of the beautiful things about art. Sometimes something will get to you and you can't really explain why, but you just feel it. And that mixed with this really beautiful, slow production by Kenny Beats, I thought was fantastic. this was one of my favorite songs off the entire album. And then on from that, we have Terms featuring Dominic Fike and Denzel Curry. Denzel Curry is kind of just does ad libs. Dominic Fike does the chorus. I thought this was probably the least interesting song on this half of the album. Still a good song, like it's still at least a 7 out of 10. But I felt like in comparison to the other 6 songs on this more introspective half of the album, it was lacking a little bit. I thought the instrumental, wasn't that interesting. And I thought Dominic Fike's chorus wasn't great. I thought there was nothing wrong with it, but it just didn't blow me away. But yeah, this is still a good song. But as I said, every other song on this half of the album is far better. So I'm not hating on this song. It's just I'm giving props to Ty because the rest of this half of the album is just absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I'm not going to keep going on about it. The next song, Push. This is probably my second favorite song off the album. This starts an incredible 3-song run, like one of the best 3-song runs I can recall off the top of my head from any album ever. I know that's a massive call, but this 3-song run is fucking absolutely crazy. So, Push starts with this acoustic guitar, and then there's this vocal sample. I think it's a vocal sample. I might be wrong. It actually might be a feature. I'm checking right now. I apologize. Okay, yeah, it's a feature by Deb Never, who I am not familiar with, but she has 920,000 monthly listeners, so she's obviously well known. I'm not familiar with her. I'm not sure if she's English, but I don't know. I'm probably making myself sound like an idiot right now. But yeah, so she's got a feature at the beginning. She has this really beautiful, intro where she's talking about, taking this path alone. And then Slowthai starts rapping about having to deal with doubters in his life and pushing against, people who are trying to bring you down and having self-belief in yourself. This is probably one of the more positive songs on this half of the album. The guitar instrumental is absolutely beautiful. There's a bit where the drums kick in after about halfway through the song, which is just it's great. Ty's verses in this are also fantastic. Some great rhyme schemes and just an all-round great song. And then after this, we have the highlight of the album for me, NHS. So I'm sure probably many of you have listened to Ty. He released this as a single. This song, I think because there is so much great production on this album, and I don't think NHS has one of the most interesting instrumentals. Like I think Push, Feel Away, Focus, I Tried, for example, and Cancelled and Mazza have much more interesting instrumentals. But the lyrics on this song are just so potent. They just get you. Like, this song had me so close to crying when I first heard it. It was just so... It was... Okay, I don't like getting into my personal life, but as someone who has dealt in the past with mental illness, I really resonated with this song. And it's Ty's attempt at a positive song, but from a negative mental space, and it was just so beautiful. So the first half of the song, he's kind of talking about what it's like to be incomplete, making these analogies of how he's like, like what's like, for example, he says like, what's a bullet to a handgun? What's, he's making these comparisons to these things, but what are they without, something else? And he's kind of bringing light to how he himself is incomplete. And then the second half of the song, the second verse, he's sort of going, yeah, but, what is life without the bad things. What is good without bad? He literally says that, what is good without bad, and he brings up all these examples, and it's just so beautiful, because it's clearly him trying to justify to himself how without the badness in life, without the suffering, there is no point in the good. And I think that is a viewpoint, and that is a perspective that a lot of people, if not most people, can resonate with, especially people who are going through a really hard time. Sometimes the best way that people find to deal with it is through saying, well, I need to go through this so I can appreciate the good. And there's something really tragic in that, I think. I think there is something really tragic in that, but I think there's something also really beautiful in that. And that's why I think this is the best song on the album. And I think it will probably, as I said, I know it's early, but it will probably be my best song of the year, because it's so relatable. And he just hits the nail on the head with showing us how he's feeling about, how he's struggling, but he's trying to look on the bright side by saying that without the struggle, there would be no good. And as I said, I think that's something that everyone can relate to. When you're going through a hard time and you think like, well, what's this? If I never had hard times, what would the good mean? It wouldn't be anything. And I think the way he delivers it and the examples he brings up, it's just so hard hitting. As I said, he absolutely nails it. This is a 10 out of 10 song. Fantastic. Even with, like, the production isn't bad. I just said it's not as interesting as the rest of the songs, but the lyrics just, I'm glad that it has simple production, because it allows Ty's lyricism to shine, and it allows that theme to really stand out. I don't really have much else to say about this song. It's fantastic. This whole album's fantastic, but this song in particular, like, I think this was the song that made me go, yeah, this Ty has really nailed it with this album. And on to the next song, we've got Feel Away featuring James Blake. This is another really great song. Definitely a top 5 of the album. It's got really cool production. It's got like this kind of echoey guitar, I guess. It's about Ty talking about this failed relationship of two incomplete people and how it's not, it's just not working. And James Blake has this beautiful bridge and a beautiful verse. He's such a great singer, James Blake. Ty's lyricism again on point, and his chorus has got this really cool melodic rhythm that's very catchy. I think it's about him not being the person he wants to be. I think it's really cool. It's a very catchy, despite the song being quite sad, it's a very catchy melodic rhythm that he has in the chorus, and I really enjoyed it. So that's the end of that 3 song run that I mentioned at the before I started talking about Push. But that's not to say that this next song, ADHD, isn't great too. I just think NHS to ADHD is also a great 3 song run, but I feel like Push is better than ADHD for me, purely because I find Push a bit more listenable. Like, it's a bit more positive. You can listen to it a bit more casually. ADHD, this is the final track of the album, and it is fucking dark. Slowthai, I think I remember hearing in an interview that he said this was his favorite song from the album because he produced it. It was the one that was most personal to him, I believe. I might be wrong, but I believe that's what he said. And you can see why. This is a very dark fucking song, and especially to end the album on, it's very heavy, and it leaves the listener asking questions like, where is Ty gonna end up? Like, he's talking about all these thoughts in his head and how he has a sickness. And yeah, it's very heavy. So I'll be back in one moment. Hey, I'm back. Apologies for that. I just had a phone call that I need to answer. But yeah, so anyway, as I was saying about ADHD, it's a real dark ending to the album, and I yeah, I think it's a great closer for the album. And in general, I thought this album was great. I loved how it started off with. I love the idea of these two sides of, Ty, of this sort of this guy who's full of confidence, and he's, got self-belief, and he's killing it. He's making this massive rise in the music industry, and then comparing that with a more introspective Ty who's feeling incomplete, got doubt, feels like he needs help. Yeah, I thought it was such a great concept. I think that the first half of the album, having that sort of more less introspective first half, really helps emphasize the second half of the album, and helps really brings more attention to the idea of that, like, because slowthai's kind of got this persona of being like this joker. There's video, like when he was at Glastonbury, he was on stage in his underwear, just like singing. He's got this like persona of just being like this fun kind of guy, this troublemaker, a kind of larrikin. So I thought that having these songs at the beginning which sort of show that side to him, and then immediately transitioning into a darker, more introspective version of Ty, really helped for the listener to empathize with him or sympathize with him more. Because I feel like if he just releases 7 tracks of just like this really introspective, sad kind of music, it might have thrown people off a little bit. Especially like people who are more used to him as a certain way. I'm not saying it would have been bad if he'd done that, but I thought that having the 7 songs at the beginning, which were more what I guess you could say, in quotation marks, typical slowthai, or more. Sorry, I'm not getting this. I'm not putting this in the correct words, but just music that kind of aligns more with what people associate with slowthai as this kind of larrikin, fun-loving guy, and then having that transition. I think that just really helped. Helped create a level of empathy and sympathy for him, and helped us really understand him better. The biggest gripe I would say I have with this album is I wish that the first half, the second half for me, I feel like is so far superior to the first half, even though the first half does have some really good songs. But I feel like almost every song on the second half is better than almost every song on the first half. And that's not to say the first half is bad, it's just the second half is so good. But I understand as well that with the first half, there's a lot of focus on making like these bangers with great beats. It's very hard to do like 7 songs in a row of that, having banger after banger after banger after banger, because naturally the energy or the novelty of it is gonna wear off. Whereas with the second half of the album, slowthai's giving himself room to develop the theme, and it works better having that over the space of multiple tracks, whereas having these like sort of braggadocious songs that kind of might suit a single format more than an album format. I feel like that made the first half a lot weaker than the second half. But I'm still great. I still think that although that is an issue for me, I still think that having the first half just emphasized or, accentuated the themes being brought up in the second half. As I said before, it allowed us to sort of understand slowthai more. It brought us into his world by first showing us the slowthai that most people are familiar with, and then over the course of the album, bringing us, getting him to reveal himself slowly until we've, put, face to face with him talking about his demons and, his deepest fears or his deepest insecurities. So, yeah, I don't really have much else to say about this album. I thought it was great, very dark, very heavy, but also there's some hopeful notes, like in songs like Push and NHS, and I can't wait to see what slowthai does next. I'm going to revisit Nothing Great About Britain, I think, because as I said, I listened to it a while ago. I want to revisit it. I feel like I'll probably appreciate it more having heard this album, and having, after hearing this album, feel like I understand slowthai a bit more as a human being. So yeah, on from that, I'm going to talk about 100 gecs, duo of Laura Les and Dylan Brady. I'm sure a lot of you guys, or probably some of you guys are familiar with 100 gecs. This music is fucking weird, and I loved it. I loved it. So I listened to two of their albums. First one being 1,000 gecs, and then the second album being 1,000 gecs in the Tree of Clues. 1,000 gecs in the Tree of Clues is a remix album of 1,000 gecs with a few extra songs. 1,000 gecs. I mean, this album is fucking weird, man, in the best way possible. Every song is just, it's just bending genres with each other, and just, there'll be a song that will start with, like, it'll start in a certain genre, and then it will go to another genre, and then it'll end with another genre, and it's just such a fun album. When I was listening to this, I couldn't help but have a smile on my face. You could tell how much fun they were having in the creation of the music. And I loved it. I thought it was just a really fun album. The songs are all great. They're like all really catchy. It's just a really fun album. I think you should listen to it. Go in with an open mind, because I was showing it with some of my friends, and they're like, "This is not good." I'm like, no. You just got to, like, appreciate it for what it is. Like, it's just, they're having fun. Like, they're just enjoying the music creation process, and there's clearly so much love for other genres, and they're putting it into their own work. And you don't need to, the lyrics are funny. Like, Laura Les, a lot of the time, she has, like, great lyrics. Like not lyrics will blow you away that, like, or have the same amount of depth as, like, what I've just been saying in slowthai's music, but just fun lyrics. It's just music. Not every piece of art has to be this super deep thing that, is super cerebral. Like, music and art should also just be enjoyable. And these albums they're just really enjoyable music. And I could imagine going to one of their concerts would be hype as fuck. So the genre, it's really hard to nail what kind of genre it is. I guess it's like kind of like, I don't know, like experimental pop, hyper pop maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoyed, probably the favorite song. My favorite song from 1,000 gecs would be "Stupid Horse." That's a really fun song. But then, like, 800 Decibel Cloud, 745 Sticky, Gek is pretty funny. Yeah, they got I Need Help Immediately and Gek are both very weird but really fucking funny. Gek to You is a really enjoyable song. It kind of starts with this cool, like, drum and bass type section, which I enjoyed, and then ends real good. Yeah, I liked it. I like this album a lot. And 1,000 gecs in the Tree of Clues, the remix album, is really good also. I really enjoyed that. It's fun. It's fun. Some of the remixes are genuinely funny. Like, the Lil West remix of Gek, I thought was really fucking funny. Like, what they do with a certain sample from the original Gek, and then what he does with it, I thought was really creative and really fun, and I really enjoyed it. The Danielle Hall remix of Gek to You on this album is hands down the best song on the album. It is a fucking banger. If you like hardstyle, check out this song. There's a bit of build up, and then it's just a drop for like a minute, and then the song ends. It's short, it's sweet, it's simple. I loved it. I thought it was great. It's one of my favorite hardstyle songs at the moment. I really enjoy it. Danielle Hall remix of Gek to You, awesome. The Dorian Electra Gek to You remix was also really good, and also kind of funny. His use of, like, the Gek sound was, it's hard to explain. If you listen to it after listening to Gek to You, you'll probably understand what I mean. I really enjoyed the Stupid Horse remix and the I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, Umru ringtone remix. There's There's something about like that kind of like punk guitar outro, like the pop punky guitar outro, singing like this epic chorus over it. I don't know, something about that just gets me, and that's present in both the Stupid Horse remix and the this ringtone remix. And then the ringtone remix featuring Charlie XCX, Caro Caro Bonito, and Rico Nasty is also really enjoyable. I would say I prefer the original 1000 gecs. I thought there were some songs in 1000 gecs and A Tree of Clues which didn't hit as hard. Like there are some high highlights, but there were also kind of some songs that were a bit forgettable. But yeah, they're both really enjoyable albums. I'm I'm interested to see what they do next. I know I say that about a lot of the artists I talk about here, but I mean that's why I talk about them, because they're enjoyable. I don't talk about the shit I don't enjoy, because I don't want this to be a space where I'm shitting on things. I don't want to shit on things. You know, I'll shit on things in my head or to my friends. But if I'm talking about it, I want to give you things you can watch or listen to or enjoy for yourself. So that's why I will say that I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys do next, because I genuinely am. But yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see how their sound evolves, because they're doing fucking everything. Like they've done so much different, styles of music and genres. It's like, it's so out there and it's so creative, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. It'll be interesting to say the least. Moving on from that, going to talk about a video game. I don't know if I've talked about one on this show yet. I don't think I have, but the Pedestrian. So the Pedestrian is, you can get it on the PS5, I think the PS4, and you can probably get it on Steam and all that. I played it on the PS5. It's like $25 or something. This is a really fun game. So you play a stick figure person, and it's a puzzle game. So you're playing a stick figure person, and you need to pick up you need to get through the levels, by sorting out how to get through these platforming areas. But the twist is that this 2D person, this 2D stick person that you're playing with, is on these 3D objects. So it'll be like on, like, say, a sign or like on a blackboard or something, right? So it's actually in a 3D environment while you're playing with this 2D character playing on the 3D environment, and you got to connect, you got to rearrange the 3D elements to make it easier for your 2D person to navigate. And this is a really cool game. I thought it definitely tested you. My brain was definitely working pretty hard during some sections of this game. It's a really pretty game, I think. And yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to say about this game. If you've got like spare $25 and a bit of money, I would get it. You'll sink a couple of hours. I'd say like 2-3 hours into this game. And it's fun, especially if you like puzzle games, because it is a genuinely good and challenging puzzle game. The last puzzle of this game was, I thought, really cool, incredibly creative. It took me a while to figure out what was happening, and I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it was. I was very close to looking up how to figure it out, because I didn't know what was happening. And then when I figured out what was happening, I was like, okay, I think I've got it now. And that puzzle was really fun and really challenging and like quite exciting to do. There's not really a storyline as such to this. Like there's an implicit storyline, but not an explicit one. But yeah, I think it's an enjoyable game. I would play it, especially if you like puzzle games and platformers, I guess, too. It's not a traditional platformer, but like, you get what I mean. It's fun. I would get it. I would recommend it. Just get it. Just get it. And finally, talking about a show that I've been watching over the past few weeks, The Expanse. Season 3 now. So off the back of season 2. Sorry, I'm gonna spoil season 2, by the way. So this spoilers for season 2. So off the back of season 2, we have had the death of Joe Miller, which was I really liked Joe Miller. He was probably my favorite character up until his death. I thought his death was done very well, though. I was sad that he died, but I thought the way they did it was good. I didn't feel like I'd been cheated as a viewer of the show, like I have in shows previous. I didn't feel like I had been cheated in this death. I felt like it was very justified. It was a very beautiful. The way they did it with him finally connecting with Julie Mao was very beautiful. So off the back of that, off the back of Earth and Mars now at war over the Ganymede attack, we now have the stakes have never been higher in the Expanse. And I think this is the best season of... not even I think, this is definitely the best season of the show so far. It is absolutely epic in proportion. Absolutely epic in proportion. It was just like... fucking... This season felt so long. And I don't mean that in the bad way. I just meant in terms of scope, it was massive compared to the last two seasons. Include, like, especially season one. Season one was more of a detective story. Now we have an interplanetary war, which is wiping out billions of people. The proto-molecule is now being used, like from the end of season 2, now being used to create these these monster soldiers. Mars and Earth are at each other's throat. The OPA now has access to the proto-molecule after Naomi's, betrayal. And it's just like, what's going to happen now? We're like, what is the focus of, what's going to happen? Like, we've still got so many more seasons of this show. What's going to happen in season 3 where, everyone doesn't just wipe each other out? And yeah, this show, I loved how it digged deeper into the political, like the politics of Earth and Mars and their different worldviews and how they were at odds with each other. I really enjoyed how it digged deep into that, because that is one of the more interesting aspects I found of The Expanse from season 1, was like this this solar system, and how there's different political systems, not just different, political systems of countries, but of entire planets. And it really dug into that. I loved the conflict between them. I thought it created some great tension and some great drama, just some really interesting drama. I love that aspect of it. And I also liked how it digged further into the sci-fi and supernatural aspect of it in terms of the proto-molecule and what it is. We're finally starting to get some answers to what this thing is. I'm not going to say what it is. Like, I'm not going to explain what it is. I don't want to spoil season 3. But yeah, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It was so epic in scope. And this season felt like 2 seasons, because there's kind of 2 storylines that happen. There's the first storyline that covers the first 6 episodes, I believe, and then the second storyline covers the second set of episodes, 7 episodes. And yeah, we got some new characters. One who I really enjoyed was Ashford. I thought he was an interesting character who's introduced about halfway through season 3. And what I really enjoy about these characters is no one's just evil for the sake of being evil. What The Expanse is great at is everything is so grey. Everything, all the morals that these characters have, almost all of them, you can kind of see where they're coming from. And not just that, you can probably empathize and be like, if I was in that situation, I'd probably do the same. Even if what they're doing is dangerous to the characters of, say, the Rocinante, who are, I would say they're probably the main character. Like, there's lots of main characters, but I feel like the Rocinante crew are the cornerstone of the show. They sort of hold it together. They bring everything together. But even if a character is doing is intentionally trying to harm members of the Rocinante, you can kind of understand where they're coming from. And it's hard to hate them, because you're like, yeah, well, if I was in that situation, I would probably do the same. And I feel like that's what's so great about The Expanse. These, like, the characters are so well developed, And not just the characters, but their backgrounds. The backgrounds of people from Mars, from Earth, from the Belt. Those worlds are so well developed within the lore of the Expanse that you can understand where people are coming from. You can really empathize with all of the characters. And I felt like that was really well developed in this season of the show. I really enjoyed the evolution of a lot of the characters. Like Bobby Draper, I thought was... I wasn't a big fan of her at the beginning of season 2. I thought she was a bit abrasive. But I've really grown to enjoy her as a character. I thought that she had a really great, a really great evolution. She sort of went from, in the beginning of season 2, being this person who really bought into the dogma of Mars's rhetoric, and who started to, she started like that, and then she started to kind of analyze what was happening and being a bit more critical. And I thought that really strengthened her character and made her a lot more interesting and a lot more likable. Kamina Drummer is a fucking badass. I was so glad to see in this season she gets a lot more screen time. She becomes a lot more important in the plot of the show, rather than just being the second in charge to Fred Johnson. She is now a real main part of the series, and she's just such a fucking badass, man. She's so cool. She's one of the best characters in the show. Such a strong lead, and someone who I feel like almost always makes the right decision. Because there's some characters I feel like... James Holden, in the second season in particular, I thought he made some really, really poor... At the beginning of this season, I thought he made some poor judgments. And I was getting really annoyed with him. And I feel like a lot of the characters have done that. So although I say you can understand where they're coming from, you can still get really annoyed with them. Fuck, Naomi's... betrayal, while I understood it, I was very annoyed with that. I was like, with her character, I mean, I know it's stupid to get annoyed with characters because they're just characters, but I mean, I was annoyed with her character. I'm like, why would you do that? You've betrayed them. And the same with like Fred Johnson, like he's made some decisions that I don't like. Joe Miller, like sometimes when he'll kill someone for no reason, it's you disagree with them morally, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because you understand where they're coming from, but you don't agree with it. On the other hand, Drummer, I feel like almost every decision she's made, I've legitimately believed that she was in the right. She's such a great character. I love her character, Kamina Drummer, great character. But my favorite character, I haven't mentioned this in the previous 2 episodes where I've talked about the Expanse, I think, but Amos is such a fucking good character. He's such a great character. I feel like he's such a good foil to the rest of the crew of the Rocinante who just want to do good. They're idealists, whereas he is just, I love when he talked about the churn. I was like, oh, that was in season 2 where he talked about the churn, about how we're all stuck in the churn, and it's a game of survival. I was like, oh, it was so fucking cool. And he's just so... They're idealists, but he's a realist. He understands that, he just understands that he will do whatever needs to be done, no matter what moral boundaries are going to be crossed. He's like lawful neutral, even though, I think he's a great character. He's my favorite character of the show. I just wanted to mention that. I thought this season was really good. I don't know where season 4 is going to go. I'm fucking... I don't know what's going to happen with season 4. Because the end of season 3 kind of just turns everything on its head. Like, everything's very different now. I'm pretty excited for it. Everything in this season was really good. The special effects were very fucking good in this. You can tell the production values increased as the seasons progressed. I'm looking forward to season 4 and season 5 because they were produced by Amazon, I believe. So I'm assuming the production value is probably going to go up there. So there's 3 seasons left of The Expanse. 1 hasn't come out yet, but I know season 6 is going to finish it off. I'll try to talk about The Expanse season 4 next week, where I'll also talk a bit of I'll give spoilers for season 3. But yeah, I don't know, because a lot of things felt like they got wrapped up in this season, but it did leave. It makes me think maybe that things were wrapped up at the same time it was left open. It makes me think that maybe they thought they weren't going to get renewed, so they wrapped it up, like wrapped up a lot of the main storylines while also keeping it open for, for future, if someone wanted to pick it up in the future, which it did. It was picked up by Amazon. So yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see where this show goes. I'm interested to see where all our characters go. I thought that there were some characters in the second half of the season who didn't get as much screen time as they did in the first half. And I'd like to see more of them. I'm not going to mention who because I don't want to spoil any plot lines. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I've really enjoyed this show. And with that, we've come to the end of the episode. This one's a bit of a longer one. I will try not to go as long next week. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I've really enjoyed it as always. Again, like I say at the end of every episode, if there's anything I can improve on, I am always open to constructive feedback. I want to improve at this. I want to get good at this because I love talking about art. I love listening to art. I love engaging with art. I love sharing it with people, and I would love to give you guys, make you guys see something that you wouldn't usually, or enjoy something that you wouldn't usually. And yeah, so yeah, please give me feedback. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode, and have a great day. Thank you for listening. Bye.